they got the knowledge you crave. Hard hitting insight gonna make you win. Listen up closely, let the games begin. Top pick sleepers every week I spin. The FF universe here to help you win. The fantasy football universe.
What the hell is going on? Welcome into the double FU, the FU times 2, the fantasy football universe. I, of course, am Jeremy. This, of course, is Jesse. We, of course, are 1/3 now of the 6 double FU members. We're growing this offseason. We love it. We got Debbie Planet. SC runs that. Spencer's in the show. We got Dynasty Dogs, Rich and Mike handling the Dynasty content. We, of course, are focused on redraft because it is redraft season, and we are here to make sure that you are ready to go. So today we're going to talk a little ADP. We're going to do some mock drafts. It sound good, Jesse?
Sounds great to me. I'm ready to fire this bad boy up on this lovely Saturday afternoon. For you, evening, but same time.
Hey, we do what we can over here in Amsterdam, 10 p.m., living that life, bro. Just living that life, living the dream at the same time.
Yes, sir.
Listen, crazy stuff. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about ADP. We're going to talk about some values. We're going to talk about some guys to avoid, and then we're going to do a mock draft and kind of put it all together and show you how it's done. So Jesse, I don't know if you want to start with a guy. You want me to start with a guy? How do you want to break this down?
I could fire this up. I'm going to move off of not go the guys that you've been hammering all off season, because if anybody's paying attention to our content, they know your guys locked and loaded, right? I'm going to keep talking about Tyreek Hill and why he is overinflated value-wise. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Let's use the Draft Sharks ADP consensus, which pulls from ESPN, Sleeper, CBS, all these fun places. He's the wide receiver 12. And I'm just wondering, what we're doing here with that price, because there's a hell of a lot of a risk. And we talked about this all CDs in particular. You can get Jalen Waddle multiple rounds behind Tyreek Hill. So even if you just want to go to the same team, you could just shift to a different player and get him in the 6th as opposed to the 3rd-ish round for Tyreek. So, yeah, there's just so much risk with him and all of the bad news around him. It's just he doesn't want to be there. Seems like the team really doesn't want him there at this point. So why would you spend that premium top 36 pick on him? I don't. And just look at the players going around. We're talking about T. Higgins, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Garrett Wilson. I'm anti-Garrett Wilson, so let's remove him from the picture. But Ladd McConkey's right there. Maybe you get A.J. Brown falling. I love myself some Mike Evans. I'm a perennial Mike Evans fantasy football fan. And then Devontae Adams. So, if you want to do the old guy risk, just go cheaper. Get Devontae or Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, one of those guys way later. So it's just his ADP just kind of shows in my face every time I see it. I'm like, oh, no, not doing it there. So I don't know how you feel about that. Are you anti-Tyreek as well?
Yeah, 100%. It's just the costs you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Tyreek Hill can be Tyreek Hill. This is the Christian McCaffrey argument, except Christian McCaffrey's only coming off of injury. He's not also coming off of attitude and teammate problems and super poor production when he was mostly healthy last season. So it's just this perfect storm of things that lead me to believe that Tyreek is CTE problem situations, right? He's going the Antonio Brown route, which, we watched Antonio Brown get lit up in his career. Tyreek Hill has had his own set of issues as well. So it's really a concern. And you talk about the fact that we're doing all of these 30 mocks in 30 days. It's day 23 in August. We have done 22 mocks. We're going to do another one here in about 20 minutes. So we'll drop the link in the chat if you want to join that. But Tyreek Hill always goes in the 3rd round. Stop it. Like you said, give me Jackson Smith-Njigba or a running back. I'm not going to take some of these guys where I would take Tyreek, right? I'm not going to take Garrett Wilson. I'm not going to take Devontae in the 3rd, but I really like JSN. T. Higgins, if he falls a little bit, depending where I am. And then Omari and Hampton, James Cook in the late 3rd, George Kittle. All of these guys can be had in the mid to late 3rd round or early 3rd, depending where you're picking from. I want them all over Tyreek Hill.
100%. It's just it stands out. There's a few guys when we look at ADP, like we talked about when we've been on the shows together. they really stand out for positive and negative ways. He's one of the guys that I'm not touching. If he falls a few rounds, sure, I'll be interested. But until then, all theirs. Who's the guy that you're fading? Or you want to go off your usual guys? Or you want to go on a new guy?
Let's have this discussion because I don't think it's a popular opinion. I just can't do it with Xavier Worthy. I think Xavier Worthy is a good player. Listen, we're all about players being good, but a good player in reality is not always a good player in fantasy. Mm-hmm. And Xavier Worthy, I think, has a number of things that are going against him where I don't necessarily see the upside. This is almost a Zay Flowers kind of argument where we were talking the last couple of days where it's like he's a great player, but will the scheme and the players around him allow him to reach an upside at the cost where you're drafting him? Xavier Worthy, you have to reach for in about the 5th round, right? So you have to get Xavier Worthy in the 5th round, whereas instead of Worthy, you can go ahead and get Jameson Williams, who I know I believe has in crazy upside. George Pickens, another guy you can get. If you look at the other names around Xavier Worthy here, Tet McMillan is going after Xavier Worthy. We're not going to count Rashee Rice because I think he really has a long suspension coming. But if you want to talk about maybe Calvin Ridley taking that upside shot, or Travis Hunter, Jerry Jeudy with Joe Flacco locked in, I want kind of all of those guys for their upside over Xavier Worthy. I don't know how long Rashee Rice is going to play. Maybe it's a 4-game, maybe it's a 10-game suspension. But you got Travis Kelce, you got maybe the health of Hollywood Brown, you got, by all accounts, a healthy Pacheco, and you still got a great defense over there. So if we knew for sure Xavier Worthy was slotting into the Rashee Rice role and Rashee was going to miss 10 games, no problem, smash. But at the same time, I think he's a good player. I think he's in a good situation, but I want the upside of the other wide receivers in this area, specifically Jameson Williams and George Pickens and Travis Hunter, who all are going after him in ADP.
Yeah, the one thing I do want to say about Xavier Worthy, he's kind of getting a little too much hate because he was bad at the beginning half of the year. The second half of the year from week 12 on, he didn't see less than 6 targets in the game. Like that's the minimum amount of targets he saw. So he kind of took that step forward in the second half. But I agree, there's a lot of risk in that offense. We don't know how it's going to go. Supposedly they're not really playing Mahomes in the preseason, so they're kind of just they're confident in what they have. I think it really comes down to Rice because he's right next to him in ADP. Yeah. And that is like basically the landmine you almost want to avoid at that cost. But we saw what he did early in the season. He was a stud, got hurt, and then you kind of lost him the rest of the year. So it's interesting with the Chiefs. I just rather just let other people pick. And then if one of them falls, yes, I don't mind taking the other, right? And usually it's Rice that falls because everyone's terrified. It's been shifting a little bit now that he might not get suspended. It's just there's so much risk with those wide receivers, right? Where, to your point, Jameson Williams, Calvin Ridley, they're locked into their roles. Williams might grow into his, which would be awesome if he does. Mm-hmm. We got George Pickens moving into the wide receiver 2 role. You know what freaking Dak can do. And Travis Hunter. I love Travis Hunter. I think he's one of the best prospects I've seen the past 5 years of wide receiver. He's just a really, really special player. So if I do that and he's right there, I'll just wait. Like, I'll just go 2 rounds later, just take Travis Hunter, call it a day, and enjoy life. And we're not even looking at Jalen Waddle, who's just creeping at the end of the board right there, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of good wide receivers in this range. This pocket, it really makes you go running back early because you can find these values with these wide receivers. It starts to die off at running back in this range in the 70s. It gets really ugly. So that pocket of wide receivers, I find myself attacking a lot because it's a good value spot.
100%. Just to your point, it's DeAndre Swift, who I do like at value. But then you got David Montgomery, you got the question marks of RJ Harvey, Pacheco, who we mentioned, Aaron Jones. So all of those guys, and maybe James Conner hangs around. Travion will not be there in the 5th round. But maybe James Conner hangs around. I want all of the wide receivers over these running backs, even though I like DeAndre Swift. In fact, that's a good transition for me. Let's talk about DeAndre Swift because I like his value in drafts. I just like the fact, again, we talk about situation. He's a good player. We saw him hurdle a guy in the preseason, so I get a little extra hype. But this offense needs to establish something in the running game to make the passing game work. Caleb Williams is struggling, and I think he probably will bring some of those struggles into the first half of the season. Ultimately, I believe in Caleb Williams. I think Ben Johnson has the offense going, but there's also a lot of young pieces and rookie pieces, right? Rome isn't a rookie, but it's his second year. And then, 3 offenses in 2 years, if you count the Shane Waldron mid-season firing debacle. You got, of course, the two rookies in Burden and Loveland getting used to everything. So it's just going to take a while for this offense to gel. But the thing is that DeAndre Swift, not only will he catch passes out of the backfield and be one of the primary pass catchers, he's not a primary pass blocker, but that's okay. And at the same time, he's going to get the ball plenty on first and second down, even if they're mixing in Monangai, Roshan Johnson, or whoever else they drag in off the street after cuts are made. So I'm really happy with DeAndre Swift, both his situation, his talent, and the fact that they're going to need to rely heavily on this run game. And if you look at the other names around him, James Conner with the potential split, do like Connor, but I'm fading him a little bit, so I'll take DeAndre Swift. David Montgomery, I'm going to take Swift. RJ Harvey is an interesting conversation. I think that can go either way. And then Pacheco, Jones, those guys are later. Like we said, we're probably taking wide receiver, but I don't mind DeAndre Swift at the top of the fifth.
Yeah, like Swift's always a struggle for me just because his vision drives me insane. Like you watch his vision, and if he had the vision of a good back, he would be so much better. And that's the thing that hasn't really progressed throughout his career and why he kind of like goes up and down. Does he have these good weeks and bad weeks? But yeah, I know people are talking about Monangai and like Roshan, like we still like Jamie loves Roshan, was one of our big fans here. But Swift's the best back on that team. Even myself, who's a noted DeAndre Swift hater, like everything is shaping up for him. If you look at Ben Johnson's usage with running backs, they absolutely smash each and every year. So the value you're getting where you're talking mid-20s, because I think that's pushing about mid-20s, almost RB30 range at him. So it's like, why not that at that cost? So if you go wide receiver early, which we've done a lot in our draft, you see DeAndre Swift and these guys kind of fall in that range. I like him. I also like Tony Pollard. Those are the two that stand out to me the most because Pollard's also getting a situational upgrade with the massive quarterback improvement. Everything is shaping up really well for him. So yeah, I think both of those guys at cost, I'm fine pulling the trigger. And you've like, as much as I hate DeAndre Swift, you've like warming me up to him. So yeah, I'm on board with him at cost. Like I'll purchase some DeAndre Swift and ride that roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. And look, we said either, and we said that we mostly prefer wide receiver. I mean, Jameson Williams, if they're in the fifth, he's mine. Okay, that's just the way I'm going with it. But DeAndre Swift is interesting, and I have seen him fall to the sixth round. If that's the case, I am very, very heavily considering DeAndre Swift there. Quick question for you on DeAndre Swift. How many total touches did DeAndre Swift have last season?
He had like 250 something. It was a lot, man. No, it's more than that. Like he probably pushed scores closer to 300, but he had a lot. Yeah. He was heavily involved. It's just that team was so bad, the whole thing, everything around them last year, it kind of gets pushed under the radar to your point. Because if they were a good team last year, it would have been a lot better. They would have scored a lot more points. People would probably be a lot higher on DeAndre Swift just based on that fact alone. So inserting Ben Johnson, they improve offensive line. Caleb Williams takes a step, who's, by the way, has been awesome this preseason. Yeah. You see that all coming together? Yeah. Like it makes sense to the fifth, sixth round, take your stab on DeAndre Swift and ride him as your RB like 2, or maybe if it's a 0 RB team, you can take him as your RB1 if you really want to push it.
100%, 295 touches for DeAndre Swift a year ago in 2 bad offenses. In the sixth, no brainer. If he doesn't make it to the sixth, okay, that's fine. I'll take a wide receiver in the fifth, but I do like his value where he's going. Jesse, why don't you tell us, give us a running back love or hate so I don't have to switch the page here.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara is going off the board as the RB16. He's basically the 3-4 turn range. He's never finished close to that on his career on a punch per game basis. The worst he's been is RB13. That was a couple years ago. Every other season of NFL's career, he's been an RB8 or better on a points per game basis. I get it. The offense seems like it's a disaster, but you saw the amount of touches. You know who led the NFL in usage by running backs last year? Yeah, the guy we're talking about, Alvin Kamara. He had the best expected point total of any running back in fantasy. He's due to regress. I know the quarterback situation could fluctuate. What's great about Kamara is you're getting the pass catching, similar to Swift, but to elevate it a little bit higher. So you're getting that massive boost from pass catching, which elevates his floor, which kind of counteracts the bad offense that you're going to get. So I know no one really wants to invest in the Saints right now. I get it. They look like they could just be a disaster of a team. The one guy you can count on week in and week out is Alvin Kamara at RB16. The only way he doesn't beat that is if he gets injured because age is creeping up. So we're getting there older, like we're talking about CMC. These guys, they're pushing 30. So that's the one concern you have with him. If he plays all the games this year and he's on the field, he's going to be a top 12 running back. That's what Alvin Kamara does. So he's one of the best fantasy running backs we've seen in the NFL history. Like he's been awesome. I expect him to do it again. It wouldn't shock me to see him be RB8 somewhere in that range again this year. We look back, we're like, you know what? Who was better than we thought? Yeah, Alvin Kamara. So I get it. It sounds stinky looking at that price tag of that team, but yeah, I'm in on Alvin Kamara at that cost.
I'm not mad at it, but I'll tell you what, if Amari Hampton is there, I'm taking Hampton over Kamara. I think he is going, though, right where he should before Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, of course, we're a little concerned about the potential split that he may see with Zach Charbonnet, the injuries, of course, as well. Alvin Kamara has been mostly the picture of health, regardless of situation. I'm a little concerned about his advanced age and that terrible offense. We want good players on good offenses in fantasy. Right. That's really my one kind of trepidation about Alvin Kamara, but it's really hard to argue the production when he's on the field. Kamara is just an absolute stud for you. And you know what the Saints offense is going to have to do? They're going to have to give the ball to Alvin Kamara a ton because they're not going to be able to fire it further downfield than like about 10 yards. RIP Chris Olave's production this season, Rashid Shaheed's production. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of bubble screens. We're going to see a lot of craziness. We should see Taysom Hill return at some point this season as well. So that's going to muddy the waters, of course, but at least it will help the offense move the ball forward. We like that for Kamara. I don't mind it, but I'll tell you what, I am not clicking Kamara over Hampton. What do you feel about those two guys?
Both those guys need to jump up. Kamara had a 21% target share. That's not a glitch. That's absurd. That Kamara had 21% target share last year. He's going to be in that range again this year. That's just how the offense is going to have to do it, and they know this. So, yeah, I'm with you. Hampton's a rocket ship. He's going to push over 300 touches this year. They need to be above Breece Hall. The James Cook stuff, I like James Cook, but his ceiling seems more capped than the rest of the guys in this range just because he doesn't get enough touches. So I'm taking them both over James Cook. I think James Cook has a really high floor. He's one of my favorite players. Like, what James Cook does is really good. It's just he's not going to get the amount of touches these guys are going to see in those offenses. So when we talk about it, volume is king at running back. Chase that volume. I'm fine. They're in that Kyron range for me. Like, both those guys should be like borderline top 12 running backs. They need to push up in there for me. So yeah, I'm not doing the Breece Hall thing. Like, I'm just gonna let somebody else do that with Justin Fields. But yeah, I love Hampton. Like, every time in the third if Hampton's there, I'll smash it. Come back with Kamara on the fourth. Like, you have those two guys on your team. You have two elite wide receivers. You start out, come back. If you're on the if you start out 1-on-1, right? You go the Jamar Chase comes back, turn actually it's probably mid range. But yeah, you could do this where you grab both of those guys later on in your draft and just roll with it. So I'm down with that. Like, it works 100% for me.
Yep, I'm down with that too. But you mentioned Justin Fields. Justin Fields is on my list as a value. You see his ADP here at the 10:01. That's because sometimes he goes in the 9th, sometimes he goes in the 10th, sometimes he goes in the 12th round. People are just leaving Justin Fields for dead. Justin Fields is Anthony Richardson, except he's starting NFL games and he's likely to start all of them this season if he remains healthy. So Justin Fields for me is quite clearly a quarterback one. Let me get rid of this stuff if I can. All right, we tricked it. All right. So Justin Fields is quite clearly a back end quarterback one at worst if he starts majority of the games this season. He's just got such a safe floor as a runner. That's what I want. Not only the safe floor, but of course the elite ceiling. We've seen it from him time and time again. We know the bread and butter of this Jets team is going to be try and play really good defense, try and run the football. And Justin Fields is going to be a huge part of that because we know that's what he does best. The Jets coaches also know that's what he does best. They're going to try and get Justin Fields to throw. What was encouraging last year is in the Arthur Smith system in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields did look good for stretches here and there. And he has throughout his career. I think he's someone that can be molded into a better quarterback than he's shown so far in the NFL. The question is, will he progress to that this season or even any time in the near future? I don't know, but I'm banking on the legs. I'm banking on him scoring touchdowns on the ground. And if he progresses as a passer quickly here, especially with weapons like Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor in town, Breece Hall in the passing game, it's a decent enough offense where Justin Fields can progress in that offense, and he could end up a top 6 guy I don't think he's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but he could end up being a top 6 quarterback with the rushing upside if he can progress. So there's floor, there's ceiling. I like him, especially in the double-digit round.
Yeah, like he 3 years ago in Chicago 2022, he ran it 160 times. He could do that again this year. Like, he's the last guy that really gives you that true Konami upside. And there's Drake May there too. I think Drake May will go in that category.
Yes.
Those two actually are the true like Konami kings. But Drake May is not going to run it near as much as Justin Fields. Like, the Patriots have come out and say they don't want Drake May to run it. There's been nothing of the sort out of New York. They're like, yeah, we're going to let Justin Fields do his thing. The risk is really removed with him at that cost, right? We're not spitting a top 5 pick. We're talking like around 10, around 11. So at that cost, it's like, why not? And yeah, I have Justin Fields as an NFL like quality quarterback. That's a whole different discussion. But for fantasy, you know what you're getting. Like, he's going to run it probably 6 times a game at least. It may be pushing into double digits, right? So you do that, you got yourself a very, very discount version of Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's not nowhere near the passer or processor he is. But you can basically do like the discount version of that, where if he's going to run 150 times as a quarterback, man, like that's free money. So yeah, I'm absolutely in on that cost. Where we were in one of our leagues, I was like, yeah, I'll take Fields right here. And then you went and you got Trevor Lawrence, and I was like, yeah, because Lawrence's early season schedule is awesome. Fields, the first 2 games, it's like Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Once he gets past that, it's like Tampa Bay, Dallas. It's a bunch of other manageable teams that you can really score in. So I think mid-season where we see Fields kind of kick off and really just hold that QB1 status down for you for a while.
100%. And I think you're referring to the chopped league that we're in, the guillotine league on Sleeper. I'm up in 2 more picks, and it's very likely I'm taking another quarterback here. Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, Jackson Dart, Joe Flacco, Daniel Jones still on the board. A couple of those guys have some juicy early season schedules who I might jump on.
There we go.
Shall see. Jesse, do you have a guy you love or hate at quarterback this year?
Yeah, I think if we're looking at quarterbacks that I really think are good is Brock Purdy. I like him and Baker Mayfield a lot at their cost. The difference, Baker Mayfield is way more expensive than Brock Purdy is right now. So San Francisco, we saw last year, they had to rely on Brock Purdy, and he put it together. He ran for more yards than we thought. He ran for like 300-plus yards, which was a step in the right direction. So you're getting kind of what Aaron Rodgers used to do for like where he would give you some mobility, not high end, but enough to kind of insulate him as a passer. And we saw him progress. So I think when you're talking about Fields or Drake May in that range, I'm totally fine with those. I like those guys. Purdy, I know, is a good NFL quality quarterback. I know what I'm getting. So I'm not getting the risk of maybe they're not going to freaking bench Drake May, but the risk is removed with Justin Fields just because if it falls apart second half of the season with the Jets because they're in a rebuilding year, you're not going to have that with Brock Purdy. This offense is rearing to go. I get it. The wide receivers are all injured right now. So that is one of their concerns, right? But he still has Kittle. He still has CMC, 2 of the best patch-catching weapons that are not wide receivers of the NFL. He still has those guys. The wide receivers will come back. So, yeah, it's going to be the Brock Purdy show again. Remember last year before it kind of fell apart at the end, people were talking about him for potential MVP. So we can see him have another really good season where it's 4,000-plus yards, 30-plus passing touchdowns, 300 yards on the ground. You know, he gives a couple rushing scores, and you're talking about a more borderline QB1 range. So I think that's in the range of outcomes for him. But this spot we're talking about, the draft, you can kind of make the case for all of these guys. If you want to do the McCarthy thing, you want to do Stroud's the one I really won't do just because he doesn't run. But Herbert, Caleb Williams, all these guys, you can make the case for your guy. I just think Purdy's the best actual quarterback of this group right now. And I know it might be a hot take because people love Justin Herbert. I just think Purdy's a better quarterback. So that's why I go with him. And I know I'll probably be on the other side of that. If theirs was a poll, it would probably be heavily in favor of Justin Herbert, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I like Purdy at cost. I think he's a good bet for fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Sam Darnold last year. We know with Purdy, it's not just the quarterback, even though he's better than we all expected, probably including the San Francisco 49ers. But it's also the system. He's in a fantastic system, so he makes it work and does just enough to get by. Although Dak Prescott is just a couple of picks ahead of Purdy. I think I prefer Dak just because they're going to chuck it 700 times this season. And probably set some records there in Dallas. That defense is horrible, by the way. It's getting worse. No Micah Parsons. Travion Diggs is not going to be ready for that was broke today. Not going to be ready for the start of the season. So it's just a damn mess in Dallas. And Jerry Jones is getting on is talking to anyone with a microphone and a camera about how Micah Parsons' agent is far too involved. I don't know. It's a crap show. It is what it is. Ridiculous. Let's talk about tight end as we kind of wrap things up. I will go to a guy that I cannot click, Jesse. It's Sam LaPorta. I can't do it. I can understand the upside case, but here are the things that are working against him. The continued emergence of Jameson Williams that we're all bought in on, but so are all of the Detroit Lions and their coaching staff. Amon-Ra is having press conferences talking about Jameson Williams. It's ridiculous. Amon-Ra said, I watched a press conference the other day, and he was like, yeah, he continues to get better. I'm always getting the JMO questions. He's amazing. It is what it is. So the JMO breakout already happened, but it's here again. So that's strike one against LaPorta. Strike two, Ben Johnson leaving. We don't know exactly how Johnny Morton is going to orchestrate this offense, but all indications tell us that there's going to be more Jameson Williams, more JMO means left LaPorta. And then, of course, number three, look, we know that Jared Goff has previously targeted tight ends, right? We've seen this throughout his career. This can be a preference sort of issue. At the same time, Jahmyr Gibbs is another year integrated into the system. David Montgomery is locked into touches. So I think the Detroit Lions are going to be a lot more conservative than the second most plays in football. Of course, they're also trying to address the defensive side of the ball, which they have not done successfully. So this team is going to have to ball out. At the same time, I think we see more running game from them, hopefully with health. We see, Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown ascend. And then there's that sneaky guy, Isaac Tesla there, who just can't stop making plays. And they really like him. So if he starts to get integrated, 3 wide receiver sets, I just see the problem with Sam LaPorta is not the player. It's not necessarily the situation. It's really the ADP cost. You have to take him in the 5th round. Pass.
Yeah. LaPorta last year, being tight end 1 in drafts made no sense to me because we were basically drafting him at a cost I did not like where he was. It's basically what we're doing with Bowers this year. He was significantly above everybody else, and there was a gap, and I'm like, I don't see the gap. He's also a gap ahead of that middle range, like the Andrews, Ingram, Njoku, Warrens. I don't think he should be. I think he should be back further in that range. Is he going to outproduce Travis Kelce? No, he's not going to outproduce Travis Kelce. I think it's a discussion with Hockenson, Andrews, and Ingram, and Njoku, and those guys. So, yeah, I've always just think he's overpriced due to what he did his rookie season because he had double-digit touchdowns. Everybody liked that. So he really got a market boost, and it's still kind of insulating him because he was not good last year. He fell off. And to your point, it's all working against him. And I got a buddy who's a Lions fan. He's raving about Isaac Tesla. The hype coming out about Tesla is everybody was clowning the Lions for drafting. I don't know, man. The Lions know these late-round wide receivers. They know what they're doing, and they found another guy. Jameson Williams looks like he's turning it on, I loved him coming out of college. It took a few years to get there and figure it out. He's still a knucklehead, but his talent is out of this world. So, yeah, I'm going to fade him with you, too. I don't like his cost at all. So I'm 100% with you. The guy for me that's a little interesting that I have not drafted is TJ Hockenson. I just can't do it with Hockenson. I struggle with him. It's partially due to the competition. He's not going to be the freaking number 1 option on that offense because they have Justin Jefferson. When Addison comes back, Addison's going to be the number 2 option again because this happened last year. We saw it. So if you're talking about the 3rd option with a rookie quarterback, that's really, really difficult. And I know they want to run it more than they did last year. They talked about this. They want to basically keep it insulated for J.J. McCarthy. I think it's going to be a little bit harder for Hockenson than people realize. Similar to Andrews, his issue is just the total targets, the amount he can get. I just think Andrews, we've seen it. He also has a little bit of insulation boost from his tight end 1 a few years ago. That's kind of an outlier. So those 2 guys I've drafted almost 0 of at that range. If they were a little bit cheaper, if they were in the 9th round where we're seeing Njoku and Warren, absolutely, give me those guys. But in the 6th round, 7th round, I'm just going to punt those guys, let other people take them just because I have question marks about the ceiling with both of those guys remaining, which sucks to say because Andrews is one of my favorite players. He's a diabetic, so I always root for him. But, yeah, this is fantasy. We got to get the guys we like. So those 2 guys at 69 and 83 right there, I'm just punting. I'm not drafting them at that cost.
Yep, 100%. We talked about LaPorta and Hockenson. I have Evan Ingram and Mark Andrews ahead of them this season. I may have Travis Kelce, but the one thing I don't think you mentioned, sorry, I was setting up the draft, but JJ McCarthy, right?
Mhm.
You mentioned Addison. We know Justin Jefferson, but JJ McCarthy, are we really expecting him to step in and distribute to all of these different weapons with Aaron Jones as well? Jordan Mason in the run game fortified. I just don't see a path for TJ Hockenson outside of injury to really ascend. He's again a great player, but like you mentioned, the situation's a concern. Jordan Addison, just the 3 games, he'll come back. He's looked phenomenal in camp, so it's really going to be difficult to get TJ Hockenson to where he needs to be to pay off at his ADP. So Jesse, I'm going to try and get people in this draft here. We're going to do a PPR draft. If you are watching along with us, please feel free. The link is in the description on YouTube. You can go ahead and jump in it. And actually, I will try to put the link in the description on Twitter in case you're watching there. But Jesse, why don't you just take us through like one guy that, you know, off the top of your head, people are drafting far too high, and you cannot understand it.
So there's a few different guys we can go with. A wide receiver, it's Garrett Wilson. I don't know what the heck we are doing. Like, I get it, Justin Fields supported DJ Moore, but he had like 6 breakaway 50-yard touchdowns that season. That is so unlikely to ever happen for an NFL wide receiver.
Sure.
I get it. He's going to see targets. He's not going to see as many targets as he saw last year. Like, it's just not what it is. I just wonder how high the ceiling is. I think he's more of a floor play because the offense is going to have to run through him. Like, the passing game weapons there are brutal. Is Justin Fields, Breece Hall? Like, I know people like Mason, the tight end. I don't think he's very good. The other wide receivers on that team they're just not very good. So there's not much competition, but I just think it's a target squeeze in the overall offense of how they're going to play the ball, because they are going to want to run the crap out of the ball. Like, they're going to probably lead the NFL in rushing attempts with Justin Fields, or they'll be top like 3 or 4. It's really hard for me to see Garrett Wilson running true and hitting that ceiling because Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. Like, he's not a good passer of the ball. And that's the big issue. So he's elevated a little bit too high. I have not drafted him once at cost. I will not draft him at cost. If he falls back to like the 5th or 6th round, I think that's fair. But he's going that like 3rd round where those are some really good options. Like, I'm not going to take him ahead of T. Higgins. Like, if you're staring at the difference between T. Higgins, who's set up in a perfect situation, Garrett Wilson right next to her, why would I take Garrett Wilson ahead of T. Higgins? It doesn't make sense. And the running backs we talked about earlier, they're right behind him too there too. So I'm going to default to those guys as well. So I just think his ADP is just too high, and I'm not comfortable drafting him at that cost.
Yep, 100%. Can't argue with that at all. I think we have to talk about Big Bill right now. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I've seen him pushed up to the 10th round, sometimes 12th or 13th round. So back end of drafts, I don't necessarily have a problem at that depleted cost getting him. I'm not sure where he's going on Fantasy Sharks and if it's updated in full PPR. Let's see if we can find him. I have 14-1.
That's what I feel. I think that's old.
But people are reaching. People are reaching on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And like I said, we saw him a couple of days ago when the news broke. 10th round. That was before the trade. That was just the news that Robinson was going to get traded. Now, since he's been traded, we've seen crazy deals go down in Dynasty. And we're also seeing the fact that he's being boosted up in ADP. So in the 10th, 11th round, I cannot do it with this guy. He's not going to cast a ton of passes, especially while Austin Ekeler is healthy. If Austin Ekeler goes down, you know, that he still may not catch a lot of passes. So they've already talked about using Chris Rodriguez in the red zone. That's the guy I think he needs to go out and get on the cheap. JCM is a guy who I'm dealing in Dynasty if I can, and I get it. Look, he could be the de facto Brian Robinson in this offense. There could be value there. He looks like a very good runner of the football. I just think that there's a lot of question marks here, and I am not taking him over a guy like Tank Bigsby, who we know can run the ball in an offense that's improving. I'm not taking him above a Jordan Mason, who usually goes back into the 9th round. That's not happening for me. I'm certainly not taking him over an upside guy like a Trey Benson or a Zach Charbonnet. Like, those are the guys I want on my roster because they're walking into crazy production. JCM may never see the full workload. I doubt he does. And so for that reason, I'm just out on him. I'm probably not going to get him because he's going to go cheaper or going to go more expensive than I want to pay.
Yeah, the dynasty hype is really absurd right now on him.
Yeah.
If he steps into what Brian Robinson did last year, that was the RB28 on a per game basis. Like, it was fine, but we're talking about the way guys are treating him. Like, they're treating it as like they found the next Puka Nacua or Bucky Irving, and I'm like, can we just pump the brakes? He's not a complete running back. He was a non-threat in the passing game in college. Do you think that's slowly going to happen when he's with Austin Ekeler, one of the best passing game options we've seen in the past half decade? Like, how does he get all of these touchdowns, these opportunities? I think he's fine. If you want to buy him for a late 2, whatever. If you want to draft him in the like kind of where Jaden Blue goes in that range, like 124 plus, like right around Austin Ekeler. You want to pull a trigger there? I'm fine doing that. But people are just out over their skis right now because if you do the math, and this is where projections come in heavily, it's really hard to make the case for him to be a top 20 running back in the NFL because he's just not going to get all the touches. And if you don't get the touches, you have to be super efficient. Now, I will say he has the one thing that nobody else in the running back room has. He has quick distance speed. Like, he is elusive. He's those things you want on the ground game. But if you're just rushing the ball, you need double-digit touchdowns to be an impactful running back. If you don't get that, this is the issue people have complained about David Montgomery for, like, with Detroit. He's there, like, you're going to get touchdowns. At least you have that. But if those go away and you're not getting those and you're getting a lesser version of that, like, and you're getting RB3, RB4, it's just not great. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm fine. And then, like, the 11th, sure, because the guys in there kind of fall off really quickly. But before that, where we're talking, we saw him going, like, the 7th and stuff, and I'm like, that's too much. Yeah, no, thank you very much. I'm 100% with you on that.
In one of our Discords, and I assume it's a dynasty question, it's a trades question, it just popped up. Bill or Jordan Mason. And I just said in redraft, it's Jordan Mason all day. Dynasty, I want Jordan Mason.
Yeah, the thing people don't realize with these day 3 running backs is they cycle through quickly. They do not have longevity in the NFL. Unless you get these Bucky Irvings, which are so rare at the right. Like, people always talk about targeting us. The reason we target these guys in Dynasty is because we want to flip them. Like, that's the whole point with these day 3 running backs. So if you move for a 2, you can do anything like that. And, yeah, if you're a contender, like, sure, I'm fine doing that Mason because I trust Mason's role a little bit more. I think he could be a little bit more impactful. But it's kind of a similar thing we're talking about. Like, Mason's not much of a passing game there either, too, right? So he's going to be a guy that's going to be efficient on the ground and a good offense. Both these guys have good offense. He's going to need touchdowns. So it's kind of the bet. I think Mason's a little bit safer just because we know we've seen it the last couple of years. He's been one of the better efficient running backs in the NFL. So, yeah, like I'm fine doing that. But, yeah, that's kind of the area we're talking about.
Yep, 100%. And I did a study on this in the offseason. In fact, it got me JJ Zacharyson on the show, so that was awesome. But JJ had just randomly did a similar study. Of course, we trust JJ's work. Basically, we came to the same conclusion, but the numbers are roughly, I think it was 1.8 to 2.2% between like late round running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Were there tight ends in the sample? I don't remember, but we did them each separately. And the issue with the running back was, it was between 1.8 and 2.2 for the last decade of late round running backs who actually came through for you for fantasy. And those were loose terms, coming through for you. Guys you could basically roster and use once in a while because I can't remember exactly who was on the list because it was months ago now, but I'll have to dig that up off of Reddit at some point and take a look. But yeah, point is, don't do it. Flip him if you can in Dynasty, in redraft. Cross your fingers, take a stab, but just don't go too early. All right, Jesse, we're going to do this. We're going to switch to our mock draft. We're going to add it to the stage. And as you can see, no one has joined, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. That's going to make things a lot easier for us to talk about what's happening, for B, for everybody to kind of understand what we're dealing with when we're in home leagues. And people are picking whoever the heck they want based on ADP and C or D or 7, the considerations that we have to make within the draft. So we'll talk through our picks, and we'll also make sure that, we help you understand who we're picking, why we're picking, and some of the other values we see. So, Jesse, just a real quick wrinkle here. This is 3 wide receiver, full PPR. So that's why I went CD Lamb first. It was Chase, Bijan, Lamb. That is my order, but I definitely want to walk away with Lamb as opposed to a Jahmyr Gibbs there.
Yeah. Does it shift if it's two wide receivers? Do you shift to Gibbs in that situation, or is it?
I don't. No, it's still Lamb. I just think he's going to get like 160 targets.
Yep. Lamb is set up to absolutely smash.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good pick in that range. I posted the other day, like, basically you can make the case for the majority of the round one guys to go 1-on-1. I think it's that close between a lot of these guys. But I think at 3, the decision happens between Bijan and after those two guys, because they're locked in like 1-on-1, 1-on-2. That really determines the draft and how you want to structure it. And I agree, Lamb kind of defaults. We're going to take my guy CMC because absolutely I love myself some Christian McCaffrey, even in start 3 wide receiver. So, yeah. I'm higher on Nico. I think Nico's just awesome. It's just the issue is health. If he's healthy, he will be a top 5 wide receiver, if not higher. Like, I think he's in the same tier as Lamb, Chase, those guys, Jefferson. I think he's all near there with Puka too. So I prefer him to Neighbors, but I did want to go Neighbors and Nico back to back, but somebody took it. So I was like, well, I'll take CMC. We'll ride with it.
And what do you think, CMC in full PPR, and you don't have 2 wide receivers now? Are you looking to kind of hammer wide receiver quick, or are you just going to take the falling value?
I'll take the falling value, but like in this format, the wide receivers are getting pushed up. I'm in another like draft where it's 3 wide receivers. You're seeing like a lot of times Nico falls to the back end around 2. He was gone mid 2, and I was like, crap, because I was targeting him there. Yep. And AJ Brown went a little bit earlier. Drake London, these eyes, like the computer's pushing up. That's what happens in these drafts. These wide receivers get pushed up because you got to start 3, so 36 total wide receivers as opposed to just 24 running backs. So it kind of shifts the structure where. Because then you could go a lot of players in this spot, I think. Where are you kind of standing? Are you going to take the top guy in Bucky, or do you have a wide receiver that you prefer?
Well, I always go Trey McBride here, so I guess I won't do that. I like Bucky. He's intriguing, but I'm going to go ahead and get a little spicy and reach for JSN. Especially in this format, I just think he's absolutely going to smash. Talk about guys with volume to start off a 3 wide receiver PPR league with CD Lamb, JSN, and now T. Higgins if I want it, because he's going to be great. Or I can go ahead and get a Chase Brown or Bucky Irving, who all fell back to me in PPR. I love that. I'm going to go Chase Brown just because we're PPR, and him and Bucky for me flip-flop. I love them both. I don't care who I end up with. I think I'd prefer Bucky, but let's take Chase Brown. The volume is there. The offense is amazing. The defense is terrible in Cincy. I'm very happy with this start. Yeah,
that's a really good pick. You can't go. I'm with you. People don't realize how good Jack Smith and J-Bo was the second half of the year. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I will look for it. He was awesome. He took over, and he was just a stud. This gets really interesting right here, where I'm at right now. And I know I talked about Kamara, and I talked about Omari and Hampton. I'm probably going to take one of each of those guys. I'll probably take a wide receiver and a running back. I do want to take George Kittle here, though. So this is kind of like the thing where if I pass on Kittle here because he's going well below Flowers, I'm like, why not? So let's take Kittle, and then I'm just going to because wide receivers so much deeper, I'm just going to take the running back right here, and then I will just hammer wide receivers from here on out. So I'm going to take Kamara a little bit ahead of ADP because I just talked about him. So I figured since we just talked about him, let's just go with Kamara and
love it.
Go with my guy. So only one wide receiver through 4 is tough though. That's the only thing with this draft where you're going to have to just hammer wide receivers on this build.
But here's the thing, Jesse. We just got done finished talking about wide receivers, and we're going to come up on the 5th and 6th round. So you're probably going to get really good wide receiver value at the turn, at the 5-6 turn. So it's going to look like wide receiver for you. And then, oops, all of a sudden, you've got a full roster outside of quarterback and a couple of flex guys. So I don't hate it at all. Don't hate that at all. I'm looking at the board here. Portland Sutton is available. I don't love that.
That's a tough spot.
Yeah, this spot really sucks. George Pickens I could reach on. I could reach on Travion Henderson, who we talked about. I think I'm going to do that. Feels bad, but I think I'm going to do it. No, you go for it.
I was going to say that early third where you were at, like the 303, where was that with Chase Brown? I think that kind of shows you want to go wide receiver in that range because the running backs available in the range are a little bit better. So it's like sometimes when you do different draft spots, you realize things differently. But that like stands out to me because I would rather flip it and get like a T. Higgins like you get it on, and then you get the running back you want. But like I haven't drafted from all the spots, so like sometimes I struggle that in the process. I'm like, oh crap, this was a good value here. Blah, blah. But like, no one's gonna fall you for Travion Henderson. He's a freaking stud, man. Like, he's awesome, and I love Travion Henderson. So it's really like a nice little bonus to have him fall to you right there. So it's a good pick.
Well, especially in full PPR, right? This is my team that I'm looking at: Chase Brown, Travion Henderson, CD, JSN, and Jameson Williams. Love JMO as my wide receiver 3. So in normal builds, I think that's fantastic value. I could have taken Pickens, wouldn't have hated that either way. Wide receiver in the 5th is nice. Speaking of wide receiver, Jesse, what are we doing here?
Oh.
I know.
So I think Ted's really good. I love Travis Hunter, so I'm going to go Travis Hunter. Jalen Waddle, the guy you've been hyping up. Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy. I think all the way to Jerry Jeudy, you could take 2 of those guys, no problem.
Yep.
Olave starts to get real questionable because I think he's a very, very good wide receiver. And I know Matt Harmon just put out something about him where like, yeah, Olave's a stud, and I'm like, I agree. His situation is just so horrendous. It's so hard to pull the trigger on him there. I think Ridley's the best if you want to go old guy in this kind of range. I like Judy, but I think Ridley's situation is just better. And then we get Waddle and Hunter. So I'm going to double tap our 2 favorite guys, Hunter and Waddle here.
Nice. Love that. Yeah, I had to take JMO at the 5-3 because I just can't not do it. I just look at the other names around him. It just doesn't make any sense. Do you really want Cortland Sutton? I was looking at George Pickens. I mean, George Pickens is such a sweet. I mean, George Pickens is basically T. Higgins for situation, for talent, but you can get him 2 rounds later. So can I please sign me up for the production of T. Higgins just 2 rounds later, and George Pickens is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Pickens is a fun player, man. Like it's just his head. If he gets his head straightened out where he doesn't have the issues where he want to fights the grass on the ground, like just chill, Pickens. Like he'll be an awesome player.
Absolutely. A couple of points of note here at single quarterback. There's no way in hell I'm taking a quarterback in this range. It's just not happening. I'm also not taking a tight end in this range. Travis Kelce, the range of upside for him is limited at this late stage in his career. Can he pay off? Sure. Is he likely to pay off for the entire season? I would say doubtful. I'm looking at the board, Jesse, and I probably don't need to reach. I could probably let it go, but I'm going to reach anyway just because I want to. This guy's been rising up my boards lately, and it's really hard to deny the Rome Odunze love, especially from his quarterback, Caleb Williams. Rome Odunze is looking every bit the wide receiver 1 in Chicago. Talk a little bit about Rome.
Yeah, like I loved Rome Odunze coming out. I thought he's a very complete NFL wide receiver. The issue was his offense was like as bad, if not worse, than Chris Olave's last year. Like it was just a horrendous situation. And there was a target squeeze with Keenan Allen seeing a lot more targets than we wanted. It's like target hogs are going to see volume. Keenan Allen got more than I expected, even though it was not efficient volume, but it is what it is. So we're expecting him to take a step forward. He's the one guy on that offense that has no one else doing things like him. Everyone else has a similar kind of player in their position, where it's DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland's kind of orchestrating in that same area too, because he can be on the middle of the field. I think Rome Odunze is the one guy you just put on the outside, let him consistently win. Sometimes you go deep, sometimes you go underneath. He just gives you all 3 levels. So I think he's a very talented player. In the 6th round with a good quarterback at a good situation, Rome Odunze should have a very, very good season. And I mean, like, where DJ Moore went, Rome Odunze, I don't know why there's a massive difference between the two. There really should not be, personally. They should be a lot closer.
Totally agree with you. And the reason I took Rome Odunze there is because you see who is taken after him: Pollard, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon. I want nothing to do with running backs in this range. I'm very happy that I got 2 running backs, so I could pivot to Ingram. I could get someone like Jordan Addison and just eat those 3 games, but I'm not going to do either of those things. Yeah. And I'm going to take Stephon Diggs. I just think Diggs in the 7th round. Maybe I could have gotten him in the 8th. Unlikely at the end of the 8th. But Stephon Diggs to me has all the opportunity. All the camp reports are glowing. And look, maybe he doesn't play week 1. Maybe he doesn't even play week 2. But by the time he's ready to roll, I think you're looking at 7-8 targets a game locked in for him.
100%. Like, because the old guys kind of fall in this range and they're very good. I like Diggs there. Jacoby Myers, we were talking about this off screen, like we kind of view him differently. I think he's basically a discount version of what Diggs is doing in that offense in LA, or it's not LA, in Vegas. So I really like Jacoby Myers' price in this range because wide receivers, it starts to get kind of ugly. You can do the golden thing. Debo's dealing with the injury, but and Ricky Pearsall and Emeka Nwigbo going to come way up. their ADP needs to be in like the 70s with like Judy and those guys. Like I don't know why they're so undervalued. So I'm a double tap wide receiver. I'm gonna take Jacoby, and then I usually go Pearsall, but I'm gonna leave him for you. I'm gonna take Egbuka just because it's fun to take Egbuka on occasion.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'll leave Pearsall for you.
You got to take Egbuka. And with Jacoby Myers, the issue with Jacoby Myers is I saw him go end of the 6th round. I guess he's going 7-12 to you. So end of the 7th round is a lot more palatable on him. But I think I like the upside of Debo. I certainly am taking Egbuka ahead of him. So I'm angry at you, Jesse. You didn't go Egbuka 7-12, Jacoby 8-1, but I'll allow it. But then you also look at like Evan Ingram. I love him as a value. Njoku, who I know you love as a value, right? There's guys around this range who I just much prefer other than Jacoby Myers. And you hit the nail on the head. Ricky Pearsall is another one of those guys. Matthew Golden is one of those guys I'd rather have over Jacoby Myers. So, I'm absolutely going to smash Pearsall here. And I'm done at wide receiver. I got 6 of them. I feel great because one thing I really like to do, Jesse, if I can, if I'm not going to go early tight end, which I love to, but it just didn't fall to me here. Didn't want to reach a little bit on my pride, but I could have. But I got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers. My flex is filled, and I have a guy on the bench. So I love that for redraft. I can play matchups. Somebody gets hurt. I got no issues. Now all I got to do is find my quarterback and tight end.
Yep. Yeah, and like you can just double tap tight end because there's like a lot of guys you can kind of make the case for.
Yep.
I prefer a couple other guys. I know we might end up doing this Kyle Pitts right thing again. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, like when you get to this late tight end, just take a couple shots because like you don't know how it's going to go. A lot of these guys you can make the case for. So yeah, if you want to punt tight end, makes sense. Just don't go mid tight end. Like I don't want to pull the trigger on LaPorta for that. Just seems absurd to me.
Yeah, agree with you. And I'm looking at quarterbacks. There's still a lot of guys I like. I'm looking at tight ends. You mentioned Pitts, but there's a few guys ahead of him. Kraft is there who's interesting. Ferguson is there. So I'm actually going to punt it one more round, and I'm going to take a guy we already talked about in Jordan Mason. I just think he's far and away the best click here in the 9th. Tank Bigsby is still available. I could get him in the 10th if I so choose. Unless you take them. But, of course, three running backs now. I feel very comfortable about this. And especially in home leagues, Jesse, we don't need to reach on guys. I don't need to reach on a quarterback or a tight end. Someone will fall to me at value. Yeah,
like once these running backs kind of go, like we get Tracy and them go, I'm fine just punting running back a little bit here because I like this range of like the 100 to 120 range of wide receiver a little bit more than I do the running backs. I think Mason's the one guy that we should push up a little bit, but yeah, like I like Pittman and Higgins value, both of those guys right there. Once they fall off, and I like Shaheed, but I know his situation is just terrible, so I'll try to make the case. Then I go back to running back. So there's pockets of values if I'm on the late 112 range. Like there's guys I like. I don't think people realize how bad the season was for Pittman and how much better it can be. So Downs or Pittman, I get it. Daniel Jones sucks. I understand that, but you got to bet on talent at some point. So I think they're just good wide receivers. I'll take the shot. And then I'm just going to start hammering running back because it's getting ugly fast. So could do Bigsby. I like Austin Ekeler here. Yep. The Nick Chubb thing, I just think he's going to be not efficient. And it's so hard to make the case for him. If I'm going to take a running back in this range that's splitting work, I'm just going to take a guy in a good offense. So I don't want to do the freaking Chubb in Houston. I'm not sure about their offense. Yep. Charbonnet is not a bad handcuff. They're pushing a lot where they're like making the case for Charbonnet. We'll probably chip into Walker's workload more than we expect. I don't know if that's going to play out, but there's been a ton of smoke out of this area recently because I'm a Seattle fan and I live out here. They're like, the news guys are writing all about Charbonnet. Now, the thing about Charbonnet is he just does a lot of things right, and beat reporters like that a lot. They're like, oh, he did the right thing. Amazing. But he's not going to like break big plays like a Walker is going to do. That's not what Charbonnet does. So I think he's okay. I'm just looking for a guy because I only have 2 running backs. I'm going team old running back here. I'm just going to take Austin Ekeler with the freaking McCaffrey and Kamara. My running back might be dead about week 3, but we're going to ride with it.
Hey, man, this is redraft. We have to get out of that mindset of dynasty, and these guys are perfectly fine, especially where you're getting them. Austin Ekeler just took a massive jump yesterday with the trade of Brian Robinson, so absolutely love that pick. And there's a few guys still on the board, but look, I don't know if any of the running backs in this range are going to give you the production that Austin Ekeler is, especially in a PPR league. Now, I need a quarterback. I need a tight end. Kyle Pitts and Tucker Kraft just went off the board ahead of me. Jake Ferguson and Zach Ertz are the only two guys I'm looking at, but I'm happy with either one of those. And if I really have to go Mason Taylor or Cade Otton, get a few productive games at the start of the season before Godwin comes back, McMillan. I mean, maybe Cade Otton just takes a step because there's nobody else besides those two running deeper routes in the offense. So I'm going to wait, and I'm just going to grab my quarterback here. It's so tough. It could be Drake May, the fantasy darling of everyone. But, Jesse, is Drake May going to absolutely light it on fire in year 2? I don't know. It's possible. Caleb Williams, same sort of deal. CJ Stroud, we like it. But I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I love JJ McCarthy too, but Justin Fields is just the upside shot that I want at this range in the draft. And like you said, most drafts go 14, 15, 16 rounds. I can just stack him late with whoever else falls from this group. Trevor Lawrence, Penix, Bryce Young, Stafford. You got Joe Flacco down here. So I can just grab somebody else just to, in case Fields implodes and be perfectly fine. And I'm playing the waiver wire game. I'm drafting this late anyway. Who cares?
100%. Yeah, it's a solid pocket for quarterbacks in one QB league because you're just picking your flavor of what you prefer. You want the good passer? There's a few of them down here. You want the guy that you expect to take a jump? Caleb Williams. You want the guy that's going to run for 150 attempts? Justin Fields. So there's a lot of different flavors of quarterback in this range. I'm fine pulling the trigger on almost anybody. I'm not going to take Stroud and what other people do just because he doesn't run. But outside of that, pick your flavor. It's a cool spot to be.
And Jesse, I have to do it. I'm going to push tight end because my guy is still on the board. Tank Bigsby has been he hasn't been drafted, Jesse, in the first 12 rounds in some of these mock drafts if I don't end up taking him. I don't understand the hate on Tank Bigsby in terms of ADP. He's a crazy value. Look, maybe you want to take Tootin, maybe you want to take ETN, pick your guy, but you got to take one of these guys. I don't mind, but Bigsby's cost and his relative opportunity is the best value for me of the three.
Yeah, 100%. He could have the most touches in that offense. It's entirely possible he has that. He's not going to get passing down work, but he's going to be the goal line back. At a minimum, he's going to be the goal line back, right? He's the biggest body back they have. He's going to do the things they like. I like Tootin, but I don't expect him to be a goal line back in that offense when they have him in ETN. And it's just a good offense. We expect to take a jump with a good play caller, Trevor Lawrence. It could work out where Bigsby gives you double-digit touchdowns. I think he's probably more likely than Jordan Mason to give you double-digit touchdowns, if I'm being honest, because of his role. So, at the 11th round, why the heck not? All right, I got to take quarterback here. So I'm going to take Drake May because why the heck not? You can take Drake May, McCarthy. I mean, whoever falls, whatever. If they took May, I would have just taken McCarthy. It would have been fine. We'll do that. And then running back gets interesting because this is computer draft. No one has reached for JCM. So I'm just going to take the entire Washington backfield and just call it good and see how that shakes out. Because all of these guys have serious question marks, right? Trey Benson, Garendo. I love Tootin, but he's fighting an uphill fight right now. So I'll take the guy at least who has somewhat volume and see how that works out. Is it going to work out? I don't know. But we can't not draft JCM on this draft because if we don't draft him, computer's not going to draft him because his ADP is too low.
And Trone Force is asking us about that backfield. So we're going to get to that, Trone, in just a second. Let's just wrap this draft up. You see everybody else who's going. Braylon Allen's a good consideration as well. Tajay Spears may be healthy at some point. Rachaad White is interesting with all the injuries in the receiving game. He was insanely efficient as a receiver, but I'm not making any of those bats. And, hey, I need a tight end. Who am I going to take? Hunter Henry? Absolutely not. Isaiah likely to remain injured. No, thank you. I got two options here for the year 2025. One of them is Mason Taylor, but he's a rookie. I could stack him up with my quarterback, but I'm not going to do it. I am warming on the idea that Cade Otton can have an early role here in an offense. Cade Otton, you might be surprised to learn, and let me pull up the stats so that I can confirm this. Last season, he was the PPR tight end 14, 87 targets, but he had 600 yards, which is the number that we want all tight ends to hit. That's a minimum. And he only had 4 touchdowns. I think those things can go up. He also only played 14 games, Jesse. So if he has a completely healthy year, we know everybody else is not healthy at the moment. He could be utilized a lot more than he was early on, than he was at all last season. And the schedule's juicy. Atlanta to start. He's got Carolina in there, New Orleans, your Seattle Seahawks. It looks kind of nice. These Houston, the Jets at the beginning of the season. Who knows if they know what they're going to be doing at that stage. So I think he has the opportunity to have a very good early run out to the season.
Yeah, if you remember how decimated that team was last year at wide receiver, Jalen McMillan took over midseason as the wide receiver 1 because Godwin was out, Evans was out, Sterling Shepard was playing. If you look at Sterling Shepard's stats, he almost had 500 yards last year, which is crazy to even say because he's been a ghost for like 3 years. The one thing about Otton, though, is the ceiling is extremely capped in that offense because there are so many pass catchers. But, yeah, I think the floor with Otton is higher than a lot of these guys late. Like, I like Arroyo, but I know it's going to be an uphill climb. So if I'm doing that, I'd almost rather pair a young guy with an old guy like Otton's. He's not really old, but he's more of a veteran. So that you have some more upside built in. But, yeah, like you just ride out in the first couple of weeks, see how it shakes out. And if somebody pops, you can pick them up off waivers and roll with that.
100%. Let's get to this question, and let me not see if I can move you. Can I move you? No. Wait. No. Nope. That's just me. Did we do it? Did we do it? Hey, we didn't block your whole face. What's up, Trump Force? Drafted CMC and cuffed him with Garrett. With the BRob trade, would you try to trade for BRob? Do you want every single San Francisco running back is the question, considering Ekeler and Kupp for BRob and Evan Ingram. Let's remove the first part of this, Jesse. Would you trade Ekeler and Kupp for Brian Robinson and Evan Ingram straight up?
I mean, do you need a starting tight end? Because that's what this really comes out of. I don't care. I really don't care about Kupp this season. Like, he's kind of just a very cheap veteran who I'm not viewing as like a high-end producer. So if this is dynasty, like, sure, you're getting younger and you're getting a tight end you could start. I don't mind making that move. If this is a redraft, it really comes down to Ekeler and BRob. I prefer Ekeler, but I get it with BRob if somebody wants someone they view as the backup. I just don't know if he's going to be the backup in San Francisco. I have actual questions. Because they have Garrett, who they like. They didn't trade really much of anything to acquire Brian Robinson because Washington was like, does anybody want Brian Robinson? We will give him to you for free. San Francisco was like, we need a guy, sure. So I want to see how this plays out. I think most likely he is the backup there, but he might not be. I'm much more secure about Ekeler's role. I think you're safer. Oh, it's not dynasty?
Yeah.
Then, yeah, okay. Start Chig, get out of here. Yeah, I want Ingram because I just know his tight end is. Yeah, I want Ingram for sure.
Yeah.
Depending on who your running back room is, I'm assuming you have other running backs you're starting that you can count on. So I'm fine giving up Ekeler. Kupp, yeah, sure, take it. You're getting a starting tight end who's actually someone who could be a potential difference maker. That's not going to be Chig. As fun as Cam Moore and all that stuff is, Chig is one of those tight ends we cannot start in our lineups week to week. So yeah, I'm fine making this move, even though I'm getting 100%. The worst running back of you.
And let's be very clear about this. Austin Ekeler is fine, right? He's in a good offense, but it's going to be a split backfield, right? The other thing we need to be clear about is, like, I do not care about getting Brian Robinson this deal, especially because I have other San Francisco running backs. Obviously, the 49ers are cursed for eternity for injuries, especially at the running back position. But no, I think they simply needed depth. They didn't pay anything to acquire him. Just threw a sixth out there. No big deal. I just think Brian Robinson is a nothing in this deal. But like you said, so is Cooper Kupp. So it's really, would you trade Austin Ekeler, assuming you have a wealth? And Tron, why don't you throw up your roster again, because you did that the last day or two, and I know that you mentioned Chig, and we were talking about the fact that you might need to look for an upgrade. This is the exact type of upgrade you need to get. If you can get this deal done, absolutely. If you need to add a little bit more to your side, which I would assume so, I would do that as well. Go get Evan Ingram. He's my tight end 4 this year, and I am not upset about that.
Yeah, how you view Ingram is how I view Njoku. I like both of those guys. They're both tier 2 tight ends. If you have them in your starting lineup, you're good. You're confident. You know what you're getting. So that's such a massive tight end upgrade. The running back is kind of negligible. But you had both Washington running backs. This way you're splitting it up. Now you're going to have 3 San Francisco running backs. So, you're just investing in these offense however you want to do it. Personally, I'm not going to have in redraft, unless it's this is a 25-man roster or something, I'm not trying to roster 3 running backs from one team. I personally like to mix it up a little bit. So, yeah.
And here's the squad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. You just want – yeah, it's totally, for sure. You want Ford to pop early. Ekeler and Ford are, similar. I just think Eckler's a better offense, and he's probably going to get a little bit more. But, Ford's a passing down back there too, right? So that's kind of the same thing. You want Garendo, JCM, that's fine. Go get a starting tight end because you do not have that right now.
Yeah, and if everything breaks right, let's say you make the deal, and let's assume 2 flex, your starters are going to be obviously Jaden Daniels. You're going to be McLaurin, Travis Hunter, and then one of DK and Tyreek. One or maybe both of those guys will start. Oh, he has, and he's got Jalen Warren. So you got Barkley, you got CMC. You can throw Warren in there, and then of course you're going to have your tight end in Ingram. So I definitely make this deal, and I think your team is much better for it.
Agreed. It fills kind of a hole you had in your starting lineup, and that's what you're looking for. Because in redraft, you want the most high impact guys you can get in redraft. Because this is not Dynasty, you got to win this year. So if you can upgrade spots like that, do it every time. It makes your team better.
100%. Let's get out of here on this, Jesse. You mentioned those tight ends. So here's Njoku and Ingram. They are both here in the 8th round. With my old man eyes, can't see. You got to lean in. We got Njoku and Ingram in the 8th round. Let's just talk a little bit about some of these values. How we started the show talking about ADPs. We like the Ingram and Njoku value. Give us another tight end at value who you like here, and maybe one that you hate as well. We can just run through them quickly.
Warren's a really good value. So this for 8th round is just full of tight end values, I think. Warren and Loveland I view similar, so just pick your poison of what you want. Warren's got a better role in a worse offense. Loveland, I think, is just a better player in a better offense, but likely a worse role. So what you want. This range, the 8th, 7th is actually really good. What I don't like is the 4 through 6. So how I have these guys actually ranked, Ingram and Njoku, are where basically LaPorta is. They bump up, Kelsey bumps up, and then it's Warren, it's Andrews, Hockenson, Loveland, those players. So my rankings are pretty off based on ADP, but that's just how I have it. So the 8th, 7th round I think is a really good spot for tight ends because you're getting guys that are going to be productive in good roles, and that's all we're really looking for. And if Warren could be the number 1 option even on a bad offense, that's fine. You can live with that. So that range right there. The LaPorta thing's egregious. I'm not spending a top 4 pick on LaPorta. I can't do it. That's brutal. And then Hockenson and Andrews, why pay that price when I can just wait 2 rounds, get one of those other guys? It just doesn't make sense to me. So 4 through 6, no thank you. 7 through 10, just push the tight end value down. That's all I want to do.
So 100%, let's put a bow on this. At tight end, get one of these top 3 guys. Go get them, right? I should have taken Bride here at the 210. I usually do. I didn't. I wanted to see what happened. JSN sometimes falls to the early 3rd. I could have maybe had him at the 303, and I feel good because you know why? If you wait at tight end, you're stuck with Cade Otton, right? Reach for a guy in the 8th, reach for a guy in the 8th, reach for a guy in the 10th if you miss out on these top 3. But the point is, don't miss out on these top 3 tight ends.
Yeah, they're top 3 for a reason. They're the true guys. We know what we're getting. Kittle's not going to see the targets of Bowers and McBride, but he's going to be more efficient. He's going to have touchdowns, so you kind of just cancel each other out. You know what you're getting on the top 3. They're special. You're going to be happy to have them on your rosters.
Let's do the same thing with quarterback quickly. Give us a value that you like and a value that you hate at quarterback.
Well, what's crazy about this one is Hurts went above Daniels, and I never see that. I think Hurts and Daniels are the best value if you go early quarterback, just because they're cheaper than Allen and Jackson. Burrow is overpriced. I like Burrow a lot, but I don't see a big difference between him and Mayfield to me. So from 4 to 7, I would just much rather spend it on Baker in the 7th than Burrow in the 4th. Yeah. Even though Burrow's a stud, I'm not saying he's not going to be he's going to be really good. But it's so hard for Joe Burrow to be the QB1. He has to have 45 passing touchdowns. And he almost did that last year, and he was still not the QB1. He passed out of his mind last year, and he was not the QB1. That's more my issue with Joe Burrow, is just price depending on his actual production. But, yeah, we talked about the guys down late. I think Kyler's a good value. I think Fields is a good value. I think May, Purdy. I love the QBs late. So it's the one position I'm fine at 1 QB. Just completely punting until the end because you can get a guy that you're happy to start, and it's not really a big drop-off.
Yeah. Even I love the names you mentioned, but Dak, Caleb, JJ McCarthy as well, Jordan Love. I mean, pick your flavor. At these prices, you can't go wrong here. The one thing I'll say about Joe Burrow is he's clearly the fifth guy. Then there's usually a steep drop off. Patrick Mahomes doesn't usually go here. He'll usually go around later or so. I'm cool with Burrow in the fourth round. Then again, I'm not picking him because I'm almost always taking an early tight end. So
Right.
I'm okay with that value. But if you really want Joe Burrow, just go get Dak in the 10th and you'll be just fine.
Right.
Let's talk about wide receiver real quick. A value you like, a value you hate.
The value I don't like. Let's see. Metcalf's a little too pricey. McLaurin just needs to be cheaper, but I mean, we've talked about it. It's Tyreek Hill. Like Tyreek Hill is the one that stands out. It's actually Tyreek, and it's both guys in the third. And Garrett Wilson, I don't want to pay that cost for those. I like paying for wide receivers early on. Those two specifically, I don't like. The guys we're going to talk about when we continue, like Buka, Pearsall. I'm a Myers guy. You're not. But Hunter Waddle, freaking Jameis.
Yep.
All the guys we took in that middle range, I really like a wide receiver. So yeah, I'll say Pittman as like the cheapest value you could find at wide receiver for me.
Yep, I really like those calls. Let's just look at the third round. Look at the entire third round and just remove wide receiver instead of Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, who I like, or Garrett Wilson. You can get Lamar, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Omarion Hampton, or George Kittle. So it doesn't make sense to take Tyreek Hill. It doesn't make sense to take Garrett Wilson when you can take, get the value a round or two later. And look at the value that you get at wide receiver in round 5, 6, 7, 8. Like this is where you want to be hammering wide receiver. So why then would you be picking wide receiver in the third? Just go running back, go tight end, get your quarterback if you want, because rounds four maybe, but really rounds 5 through 8, you're going to be taking wide receivers. You need to be taking wide receivers there.
Yeah, take the elite wide receiver round 1. You get that truly difference-making guy. Wait, stop spinning. Like I'm the second round, you can make the case like Jason, all those guys. I like those guys in the second round. Well, you're just pointing the third. Outside of T. Higgins, I don't want a wide receiver in that range. I'm just going to wait because I love in the fourth, a lot of those guys, 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. It's all just cash money there. It's a really good spot for wide receiver.
100%. And then running back, we'll finish it on this. Value like, value you don't.
I mean, Kamara, Hampton, they seem like the best values in that 3-4 range. Yeah. Brees Hall, you got to come down, my friend. You're too damn expensive. There's just a lot of guys that I have question marks about. Caleb Johnson and Quentin Johnston seem like their seasons could go absolutely sideways in this range, but they're in the 7th round, so I don't hate it. I just think there's serious risk to their cost depending on the wide receivers. So this is why I don't normally like going running back in that range, just 5 through 7, because the wide receivers are just so much better bets to me across the board. There's a couple of guys I like a running back, but man, if I can get a impactful wide receiver, get the running backs in rounds like 2 through 4. Get those guys. Fun it, and then just take the guys at the end. I think is the best value.
I think you said Quentin Johnston. Did you mean Quinshon Judkins?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's good.
That's a bad slip up by me. That's just rough. That's rough.
Well, I think that's a fair Freudian slip because, he might produce more than we expect, but I don't know. We'll see if he even makes the goddamn team.
Right.
But yeah, look, Joe Mixon, Judkins, Brian Robinson he won't go there, obviously. Now, and Caleb Johnson. Yeah, this is just an ugly range. If you look at this, the only guys who we really like are here in the 6th round, right? But okay, if one of these guys falls and you're comfortable with one of these 6th round backs, I'm okay with that. But otherwise, keep getting your wide receivers. And maybe if you haven't taken a tight end, get a tight end in the 8th round. So really rounds 4 through 8, you're getting 1 running back, at least 3 wide receivers, maybe 4, and 1 tight end potentially, depending on what you already have. Don't overcomplicate this. This is how it falls in a lot of drafts anyway. So
absolutely.
There we are. Anyway, that's enough. We're well overdue to get the hell out of here. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you joining us. We do a Fantasy Football Universe Roundtable every Saturday around this time. So check back in with us. We're also going to start, is it next week, Jesse, that we do, or maybe it's 2 weeks, our first start sits. So not next
Yeah,
week.
it's 2 weeks. I was like, what day is it? Okay, yeah, it's Monday together. It's 2 weeks away. Actually, next Monday.
We're getting there. But we got a question before we exit the show. Perico, what's up, man? Fourth pick in a super flex. Are you taking Jamar Chase or Hurts, assuming the top three are gone?
I mean, I'm going to take the impactful quarterback in super flex, but because I think in round 2, it's much easier to get a really impactful wide receiver than it is to get a really impactful quarterback, right? So if you're going to flip those two, if you're going to take Chase, then you got to wait for a quarterback to come back. That means you're probably missing on the top at least 8 quarterbacks, give or take, right? And then it's like,
sure.
Do I want to go Bo Nix in the second? No, I do not want to go Bo Nix second. I would much rather go Jalen Hurts and Nico Collins as opposed to Jamar Chase and Bo Nix if I'm orchestrating those two, right? So for me, I'm going to take the impact wide. If you want to go Chase, that's fine. Just know what you're giving up at quarterback and make sure you're okay with it. So I'm going quarterback early. What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah. I mean, I assume we're talking redraft here.
Yeah.
If we're talking dynasty, it's probably going to be Chase. I'm going to take him over Hurts every time. I might want to reevaluate that stance, but I'm happy with a Bo Nix in the second in dynasty. If we're talking to redraft, I agree with you. You got to go quarterback here. Bite the bullet. You'll be happier later on. Ryan, what's up? Is basically the question is, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Basically, the question is, will Josh Downs be Wan'Dale Robinson?
Nope.
I think the answer is no, because Josh Downs is more explosive and breaks those plays vertically up the field. He'll have a couple of games where he goes for 150 yards. Yeah,
I think the yardage is much more likely than the receptions. Let me tell you that much. And you have Pittman coming back to being healthy, and then you have Tyler Warren. It's just like that's good players at both positions coming in. It's really hard for Josh Downs to be put up that 25% target share on them with Daniel Jones and just all. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it sucks. I hate the culture right now so much.
Listen, you got a 60-second warning, everybody, to ask your final questions here. What I think we need to make sure is that we're not kind of undervaluing some of these guys with Daniel Jones, but at the same time, we're not overvaluing them either.
Right.
Tyler Warren's the clear one. Michael Pittman is healthy. DJ Giddens, regardless of his ability to pass block, will be utilized in the passing game. Jonathan Taylor can catch passes. And, of course, Alec Pierce will not disappear. So just be careful if you're betting on these Colts guys. A couple of quick things. Yes, redraft. Also have an extra regular flex spot instead of a defense, if that matters. It does matter because I don't want to play with defenses. So fantastic. Well done getting that done in your league. Who's the biggest sell at QB? Ryan, get out of here. We already did rapid fire position. You got to come back. You got to rewind the show, bro. But we will answer this question as the last question. Biggest sell in Dynasty at quarterback? I'll go Kyler. I was able to sell Kyler in a late, this was maybe a month ago, in my home league in a late rookie draft. And I got the 104 and I took Amari and Hampton. So I basically swapped Kyler and Superflex for Hampton. I was very happy with that return. I understand Kyler can give you in crazy value, but I think he's relatively at his ceiling. I think Amari and Hampton can really help my team. Now, if I'm in a rebuild mode, I don't know if I love that, but I also don't think Kyler is long for the position as a full-time starter. I think he's maybe got 2 years left, maybe less.
Yeah, for me, it's Stroud. Stroud's going like middle third of startups, and I'm just like, why? I almost said Burrow because he's a top 5 pick, and that's where I'm like, can it get any higher for Burrow, or is he at his peak value right there? So, like, it's probably going to slide back down to, like, the late one at some point. But to me, Stroud, the mid-third, like, I just like the quarterbacks to go behind. They're cheaper. They have more upside to me as well. So if you're getting both of those, yeah, I'm selling Stroud in the mid-third all day.
Love it. Thank you, Perico. I'm taking Daniels over Hurts. You redraft?
Yeah, it's sex appeal with Daniels. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to have something nice to look at, and on your roster, having Jade Daniels on that roster, That's just something good to look at. Let's get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for joining us here on the FFU Roundtable. Once again, we're here every single Saturday around this time. We'll see you next Saturday. But we're also doing lives every single day. We're doing 30 mocks in 30 days. You can jump in. You can join those mocks. You can listen to us talk about ADP values. That is happening every day in August. We've done 22, now 23. We just finished one. We've got 7 more to go, maybe 8 if we want to do 31 mocks in 31 days. We'll see, but I think 30 is enough. But
I think so.
That's gonna be it for me, Jesse. I'm delirious. Anything else from
Well,
you?
get it? No, I'm good. We're good. We're out.
Yeah. Bye.
FFU. FFU.